Hey y'all, we gotta talk about Love is Blind season 6. First of all, if we didn't learn nothing else from these first few episodes, I'm just gonna say the first six, okay, is to not ignore red flags. And ladies, especially, watch out for people like him back here. Or him, sorry. Him. Him. You watch out for the Matthews of the world, ladies. You watch out for the Matthews. They think they slick, but they not. Anyway, y'all, we are here to talk about season 6 of Love is Blind. This review, we will only cover episodes 1 through 3. You don't need to get in the comments and tell me about what's going to happen later. I already watched 1 through 6, but I didn't want to throw it all together in one because I found that don't work. So we're going to chop it up. We're going to do 1 through 3, and then I'm going to give y'all 4 through 6, and we're gonna be caught up. But before we get into anything, this is the Brandy Yvonne channel. If y'all didn't already know, welcome back. Okay, here we talk about fun reviews, discussions, and recaps of all of our favorite shows. This is Netflix's Love is Blind season 6. Okay, I have been watching Love is Blind from the very, very beginning. I didn't start reviewing it till last season, maybe season 4. I don't think I reviewed season 1 through 3. I know I didn't review season. I know I didn't do 1 and 2. I don't think I did 3 either. I'm positive I didn't do 3, but I know I definitely did the season when they were in Seattle with Brett and Tiffany and all of them, and the last horrible season. Anyway, this season so far was good. At first, I was like, let's give a little snooze fest, but then when it started popping off, I was like, oh, I see what everybody's talking about now. Okay, so we gonna get into it now. We're not gonna go in any particular order, but we're gonna try to stick to just episodes 1 through 3 on this particular review. Also, before we get started, do not forget to hesitate to push the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Let me know what y'all thought of these episodes so far. Let me know if y'all are interested in live reviews as well, because we can switch the format up if you want to. And also share the video where you like to share your content. I'll be tweeting about the show on Twitter at Brandy Yvonne, so tag me on there where you share the video. Okay, let's get into it. Remember, we only talk about 1 through 3 in this particular review, okay? But yes, I watched all the episodes, and we're gonna get into 4 through 6 next, right after this. So stay on your YouTube, okay? Hit the bell for the notifications, like they say. All right, so Nick and Lachey, they come out, ask them why they want to do the show, everybody get their spill. Jessica lets us know that she has a 10-year-old daughter named Autumn. Shout out to Autumn, okay? And this is, I think, the first time we hear of anyone being on the show that has a kid that I can recall, okay? So everybody gives their reasons for wanting to be on the show. Ken says people think because of his age, he's not ready, but he's young and he's ready. He's 25. He don't look 25. He definitely gives older, but he explains to us later on why he is very mature for his age. All right, so Nick and Lachey give the whole process. Not Nick Lachey. Nick and Lachey, child. It's Nick Lachey and Vanessa. True. Vanessa, I liked her dress. Okay, they finna do the same thing they do every time though. If y'all hear a bunch of noise, it's because it is raining and storming outside here in California. I don't know how it is for the rest of y'all, but here in California, it is storming and raining in Northern California. Anyway, let's get into the pods. Okay, everybody get into the pods. We see all these different conversations going on. Trevor thinks, everyone sees him as a meathead. He has a mullet. He's a typical big gym guy, and he wants people to love him for him, see him for him. He's telling one of the girls that he wants physical touch, and she was like, "Oh, are you an info?" And he's like, "No, that's not what he meant." Now we're not gonna go into every little conversation into the pods. Okay, we're gonna talk about the main characters because everybody else didn't make it on the show. And speaking of that, there was a lot of black people in the pods dating that are not gonna make it to the end. We got this same problem every single season, but it's okay. I seen Jamal consoling Clay. I was like, where's Jamal though? Jamal, did you find a boo on the show? Holla at a girl if you did not. Anywho, because Jamal was looking kind of cute. But that's neither here or there. All right, so we do see Trevor. I think the first main conversation we see him with is Chelsea. They do seem to hit it off this court. Anyway, she asked him 5 things that make him smile, right? And so I believe he said sappy movies like The Notebook, He might have said the sunset or something like that. Dogs make him smile. He has a dog named Chelsea, same name as Chelsea. They laughed and joked about that. She said she likes a cold beer. And the son said she could put those two things together. That makes her happy. They seem to really hit it off and get along. All right. We also see Jimmy meet Chelsea. I think we saw Jimmy meet Jessica before he met Chelsea, but it don't matter. So Jessica has like kind of a Fran Dresser, like nasally kind of voice like that. And but Jimmy was here for it. Okay. Jessica, she's debating on when she's gonna tell the men that she has a kid. She doesn't want to tell it right away. I don't blame her. I think she needs to do what she feels is best and just use wisdom and discernment in that situation, girl. But she actually likes Jimmy, and they did connect on a few different things. All right. Chelsea is a flight attendant. I think she might be 27 or 28, something like that. I think Jimmy is 27 or 28. Jimmy is in the software sales or something like that. And Chelsea is a flight attendant. Jimmy has shared with us at some point in the conversations with the pods, and we're not going to come through every little detail of each conversation, y'all. But he did share that he went to college. He was like one of the first people in the first generation to go to college in his family. His family didn't really support it. They thought he wasn't going to find no job. He's going to waste his money, but he's doing good for himself. Good for him. Okay. Chelsea says she didn't go to college. She went to all these different trade schools. She's a yoga instructor, but she's also a flight attendant now. She said that she scored I guess she did the best in her flight attendant school or something like that. But she wasn't an educational type of girl. Jimmy also shared with us, I can't remember if he's talking to Jessica or Chelsea. I want to say Jessica that from his best. No, was that Andrew or Jimmy? No, I'm thinking about Andrew. No, that man ain't Andrew. Johnny. Okay, so Johnny to me look like his name should be Andrew. I'm sorry. Y'all know how I get when somebody look a certain way. Okay. Anyway, we also got AD. AD is the young lady behind me. Okay. AD stands for Amber Desiree. She says she's, her family judges her on her dating. They said she be dating the ballers and the shot callers and the players, the rappers, the basketball players, the football players. I said, girl, will you be meeting the man? Let me know. So she said her family be like, girl, you need to settle down. She said she be seeing the red flags, but she be ignoring them and painting her nails red. Girl, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I was talking about at the beginning of this video, y'all. So anyway, AD, we do see her talking to different guys in the pods. I think we saw her speak with Matthew before we see her speak with Clay. So let's get to Matthew then. And we'll circle back to Johnny and Amy and them too. All right. So, but the main thing that happened in the first 3 episodes is the Matthew situation. Okay. So that's why we breaking this up. So Matthew he said, him going on the show is very hard for him. He's very socially awkward. He doesn't like expressing himself. He has a hard time expressing himself. He has a hard time speaking. And he just struggles with all these things. So at first you're kind of like, oh, wow, okay, let's see how he's going to do on the show. I'm thinking he's just maybe socially awkward. But then as I'm watching him, I was like, oh, no, Matthew's full of BS. So first of all, Matthew's in the pods with one of the ladies. I don't remember which one it was. And he was like, I got, questions 1 through 15 to ask you. Pick a number. 10. Okay. He asked a question like, what is most meaningful to you about da. They answer the question, they throw the question back to him. I think that was Jessica. And he's like, oh, I wasn't really prepared to be answering no questions back. She's like, oh my God. So I was like, Matthew, you can't ask a question and then you can't answer it back. Like, what? So then he asked, I think Chelsea or Sarah Ann or one of them girls in the pod, a question, and she's just going on and on and on. I mean, she was rambling, but he got tired of the rambling and he left, and she was just talking to the wall. Okay. Then I think Amber was asking a question and she picked number 4. He's like, oh, everybody didn't pick this question. You want to try something different. So she answered the question. I think it was like your typical day or date or something. And so she explained it. And so he said he liked her. She had a good vibe or good feeling or something. She's like, ask me another one of your questions. So then he said he had a good feeling with her. And I'm like, okay, well, you kind of opening up. So what's the problem? Then he gets to AD and he really opens up. He's talking no problem. And I said, oh, so now when you got to the black girl, you all of a sudden know how to have a conversation. But when you talk to all these other people, you couldn't have a conversation. No, I'm not buying it. Not buying it. So anyway, AD somehow cracked the code of Matthew, and he said he came from a small town with 600 people, and they rode dirt bikes and all this stuff. She said she came from a big city of Boston, Massachusetts, and the world's very different, and okay, y'all. I don't know what the video was doing. It was tripping. Anywho, hopefully I can edit that out. I don't know what was happening. I've never seen that happen before. Hope my internet don't go out. Anywho, with this storm. So, like I said, Matthew talking about he from a small town. He want to try to win AD over. He said he really likes her. He wants to get to know her. And he said, have you watched the show before? And she was like, yeah. He's like, what do you think of the big proposal thing at the end? And she's like, she thinks that would be cute. He's like, oh, that's what you want in the end, right? And all this stuff. And I'm like, wow. He kept mentioning America is watching. America is watching. Oh, this is what happens at the end. And it's giving, I just want to go on Love is Blind and see what was going to happen. Like, I watched the show. I'm a fan. I want to go on and see what's going to happen. I mean, we all a fan. But I don't know. Matthew was on a different level. He talking about, yeah, even Superman was cold in the beginning. And I'm like, sir, what? You are not Superman. And Matthew is not a bad looking man, and he go to the gym. So I don't know what Matthew got going on. He very much giving. He might tell you up in the basement. He's giving that a little bit. Okay, he's giving that. I don't know what Matthew got going on. I don't know. I need to know who done dated Matthew. Let me know in the comments if you know who has dated Matthew. Who knows Matthew for real, for real. So AD also meets Clay. Now Clay and AD. First of all, Clay is giving me Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The way he dresses, like he had this one conventional look with the yellow shirt and the black vest. It was very much giving Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. His sweaters. He's also very much giving Hitch because he said he used to be nerdy, and then now he built this ego self confidence thing for him, but the ego thing is really like a shell. And he got his dad was like a smooth guy, and he said felt like he needed to emulate his dad and all this stuff. He was very much giving want to be Hitch. That's what he was giving. So then he was like, okay, AD. So then they was in the pods. The way they talked was so funny to me. And then even when it went on through the honeymoon, they were giving like 90s sitcom, like it was giving Martin and Gina or something. It was just funny. So she's like, okay, Clay, AD all day. Like they was doing all that. I was like, what are y'all doing? And so then he said, I'm gonna come in here with my smooth radio voice. And then he does this like radio impression. And he's like, yeah, come on, AD, come on, AD. And so they hit it off. She said, oh my God, yes, look at you. Like, They wasn't really talking about nothing, y'all. But he said that, he is trying to be open and open to the process, and he does want marriage, and he got to really be himself. He can't like take her on dates and show her how much money he has and all this stuff. Now they go on another date later on, and they talking and vibing again, and she's telling him about herself a little bit more. He's telling her. And so he said, she's asking him, is he really ready for this kind of situation? And I think she might ask him about being in therapy, and I think he said he's not, but I believe AD says she is in therapy. And then he's saying something about how, I know this is an experiment, but, and I think, love is blind, but however, looks are important to me. So he's like, if I know I'm gonna propose to you, I gotta kind of know what you look like, she was like, okay, well, what's your usual type? And he said he usually goes for petite, I think he said he like a big booty too. I think he said that. And I'm like, oh, Clay. Now Clay was like, oh, come on, AD, you're gonna work with me, you're gonna do all this. And when he was saying all that kind of stuff, I was like, oh, I don't like him and Matthew. I mean, they're not one and the same, not at all. But I don't like the same thing, like that manipulative thing that Matthew was doing. To me, Clay was also doing similar something because the way he's like, oh, I'm trying to work on this. I'm trying to be like this. What is you gonna ride with me? Is you gonna work with me? I'm gonna try to do this. No, we're not working with people in 2024. You need to have it together. You need to go to therapy. You need to be already together. Not saying everyone has to have it together. We're all a work in progress. But I'm not gonna put up with you barely trying to figure stuff out. Like, I need you to have some of it together. No. So that irritated me as well. Like, no one's your therapist, Clay. Sorry. And she was taken aback by him asking her what she looked like. And she didn't like that. She's like, I'm not telling you what I look like. She told homegirl in the pod. She's like, I mean, yeah, I could tell him I'm 5'5" with brown eyes and thick thighs, but I'm not about to tell him that. And I was like, you right, girl. Do not tell him that. Okay. Do not. Um, okay, so then at some point, Matthew's in the pod again with homegirl AD. And he said, he missed her and he's starting to like her. She's like, oh, I'm feeling protective over you. I'm wondering, is it, people better be nice to you. I'm like, girl, he's a grown man. He's fine. We need to be aware about him being nice to the other people, okay, who we need to worry about. So Matthew or Clay, or I'm sorry, AD asked Matthew what kind of music he liked. He said he liked classic rock or metal or something like that. She said she liked hip hop and R&B, of course. Okay, of course, girl, we love us some hip hop and R&B. Okay, and she said, "Then I like some classic '80s rock." Sure, you do, girl. He was like saying he could picture her dancing to that. And so then she was like, can you dance? So, I'm not sure. And he was like, yeah, I can actually. I've been in a dance battle and all this stuff. And I battled this guy. When, Matthew? When was you in a dance battle? When? And who was you battling? And what kind of dancing was it? Who knows? Matthew got alternative lifestyles. Okay, that's what he's giving. So anywho, like, we don't know what Matthew really got going on. So he could have. We don't know. So then she asked him about, like, does he care about race and ethnicity and the people he's dating? He said no, we shouldn't even have to ask that. And she's talking about she could see herself laying on his chest and he would like that and all this stuff. And he talking about, oh, we could, what if I told you, we could just get out of here right now? I come find you. We can get out of here tomorrow. We can get out of here later. We can get out of here tonight. I was like, that's not how it works, Matthew. You're not just running away. We need to see the process. You are on the show that you want to be on so bad. So then he was like, oh, I would want to ask your father, before I married you and all that. And she was like, well, my father passed away last September. And she kind of was laughing about it, but she's like, we and him really weren't that close. And he was like, okay, well, that's not a roadblock for me. So, AD's like, oh my God, yes, my God, yes, my God. And then, she already irritated with Clay because he over there trying to see what she look like and messing up the process. So she leaning into Matthew, right? So then she go back in the pods and Amber, who we don't get to see any more interactions between Matthew and Amber, but Amber is telling AD, like, yeah, Matthew said, he would want to ask my dad about marrying me, and he said we could leave tonight or tomorrow and all this stuff. So basically, Amber is telling AD everything Matthew said to her, which was pretty much the same thing that Matthew been saying to AD. And I was like, oh, I know you lying, Matthew, not Mr. I don't know how to have a conversation, but you copy and pasting all your conversations, sir. So anywho, well, this one it got good, y'all. So then AD was like, I know you lying. I know you lying. So then she went to go talk to last time she was in the pod with Matthew, she did bring it up, like, I'm hearing you saying all this other stuff to Amber. The same stuff you said to me, you saying to homegirl Amber. So then he was like, no, that's not true. Like, I didn't say those things. The same things I said to her yesterday was not the same things I said to you tonight. And I was like, but it was. Like, what? He be like, we're talking in circles, like she said. And it was just making no sense. And so I was like, but didn't you say all the same stuff? You said all the same stuff. So he's like, don't give up on me. Don't you have a connection with somebody else? And she was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, how do you feel that you got connections with other people too? I feel some type of way about that also. And he was like, I know you want to propose at the end of this, but I don't know if that's what I can give you, I feel like, the America likes the underdog story and I still want to win you over and all this stuff. And she was like, oh, she still likes Matthew. And I was like, AD girl, why? Why do you still like Matthew? Why? He's running game, but you want to ignore all the red flags. Okay, sis. So then at some point later on in the pods, um, no, yeah, later on in the pause, AD goes to talk to Clay, and she's just like, yeah, I'm just going through all this stuff because, I was talking to Matthew. Now, mind you, let me back up a little bit. In the pause, the men don't even see it from Matthew because they're like, he weird. He wants to sit there and talk to nobody, read his book. He ain't doing nothing. They trying to talk to him, and he ain't trying to touch nobody else, okay? He's giving weirdo in the pods as well. So then, like I said, AD was talking to Clay. She's like, yeah, I had a date with somebody else, and because I found out that he was telling another girl all the things he's telling me, and I just going through all this stuff, and I just don't know. And oh my God. And so he was like, AD, like, is it with you with me or you not? What's up? What's up? Because like, am I not saying enough for you to like me? Like, girl, what's up? And he's like, you over here talking about somebody else, and you put me and you supposed to be having something. And I was like, AD, why are you telling Clay about what Matthew was doing? Keep that to yourself, child. What is you doing? So AD in there going off about all that. And so then he was like, okay, Clay's like, let's have a real conversation. Let's be transparent right now. Who's this other person you talking about? And so she's like, Matthew. And he was like, wait, who? Matthew? He's like, I know you effing lying. He's like, Matthew. He was like, you serious right now, AD? Are you kidding me right now? So then he paced it around the sofa in the room. Y'all, I could watch that scene all day. Every time I watch it, I was hollering. Okay, I was hollering because he was like, Matthew, like, please. And the way he was pacing, like, for real. And he like, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but he don't want to be in competition with somebody who ain't even on his level. I feel you, Clay. Okay, I feel you. Like, no, we not doing that. So then he was like, I don't know, what else I got to say to you? And they started like going back and forth a little bit, but then she was like, I don't know what she would have said. I just want to be honest. And I said, and then he was like, okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled. I should have went off. And he apologized for all that. And then he's like, I'm still rocking with you, baby. I'm still rocking with you, AG. I'm still with you. We're gonna work through this. Let's take some time to cool off. We're gonna work through this, girl. So then he went back to the pods and he talking to Ken and Blake or Drake, whatever his name was, the white boy with another white boy with the glasses who ain't gonna be on the show. So he was like, yeah, when she told me, he's like, it's just a lot right now. It's getting wild. He's like, she told me, who it was, talking about Matthew. She was like, and I see what kind of dude he is. Like, that ain't even you, AD. That ain't even you. He was like, I think he pointed to the white boy. He pointed to Kid. He was like, if it was you, I'd be like, okay, respect. But this guy, I was like, Clay, I know. He said, I was on a high horse, but I was just humbled real quick. I said, I know you was humbled. I know you was. So anywho, then I think we get one more scene. No, later on in the pods with the girls. AD is telling one of the girls like what everything Matthew got going on and how she crying about Clay and Matthew. I'm like, girl. And she don't like how Clay is trying to see what she looked like, and he raised his voice at her and all this stuff. And then Matthew is talking her in circles. I'm like, girl, you need to do something else for real. So then I think at some point she talks to Amber about it, and Amber's like, girl, you need to tell me what's up, what's going on. And she was like, yeah, everything you were saying, like you were saying the other day, like he pretty much said to me, he bringing up my dad, like he's playing on my real life situations, like he is playing on my top right now. I'm not feeling this. I was like, yeah, girl, he's playing. And so Amber was like, oh my God, like I'm over here being a blabbermouth, and he is saying all this. And so Amber was like, why do men have to be like this? Like, girl. And she was like, I'm so sorry. And Amber's like, AD's like, no, you don't have nothing to apologize about. And so they hugged it out. And I'm glad that they were just real women about it. They didn't get into it or get in a competition about it. He's an a-hole. And he's the one that needs to be sorry and needs to go. So Amber said she about to pack it up and go home. Okay, she ain't finna stay here and play no games with nobody, and I don't blame you, girl. Bye. So anywho, then I think we get one more final scene in the pods between Matthew and AD. And so AD lets Matthew know, like, yeah, it's a lot going on. And she was like, yeah, Amber left. And then he was like, oh yeah, that's because of me, huh? And she was like, that's very audacious of you. And then he was like, well, what else, would it be? And she was like, I don't know, people do things for different reasons. And he's like, yeah, I just been going through a lot. And, I don't know, this situation's been hard. And then he started crying. And I'm like, why are you crying, Matthew? And said, she was like, are you over here sniffling? You got a cold or are you crying? And he's like, it's just been so much. And I broke somebody's heart on TV. And then she's like, oh, okay. So like, basically like, okay, what about me? What about me, sir? And so then he was like, yeah, and then I hurt you yesterday. And I'm like, oh, Matthew. And so I think AD finally woke up, like, this ain't it. And then he was like, America is watching. America is watching. And, I'm thinking about the TV, the lights, camera, action. And she's like, I know you think about all that stuff, but I came on the show. Like, I really came to go through the process. I came to find love. And then he was like, I know you want to propose at the end of this, but like I said, I cannot do that the way you want. So I'm going to leave the show. And so she was like, okay, like that's unfortunate, but goodbye. Good day, sir. And then he's crying. She's like, oh, are you upset because Amber left? And then I don't think he said anything or he said yes or something like that. And then he left and he went back in the men's quarter and he said he leaving. He said he about to go find Amber. I said, Matthew, goodbye. Amber's not looking for you. But y'all know what I thought about though? I was like, what if Amber left the show because she knew Matthew would leave with her? Like, what if it was all a scheme and a setup and a plot between the two of them to lead the show together? I was thinking that. I wonder what we find out later on when we see everybody come together or at the reunion. But I don't know. I think Amber was like through with him. So I hope Amber would not do that though. Okay. But by Matthew, like, I don't know what. Oh no, Matthew was giving. I know we throw around that N-word narcissist quite a bit, but that's what he was giving. He was very much giving manipulation. Oh no. No, it's like the whole like just wanting to get your emotions kind of person, not to do anything with them correctly. Like, oh, it was triggering, y'all. No, no, no way. Now let's talk about some of the other couples so we can wrap up this review and get on to the other episode. So we do meet Johnny and Amy. Amy is from Puerto Rico. Okay. She says she doesn't remember a lot of her childhood. She I think she moved here when to the US when she was 6 years old. I can't remember. She said she's the only child. She said her she felt like she didn't fit in and she couldn't remember a lot of her childhood. And her parents, her dad would really like go to church and ask people to like go to her birthday parties and stuff. And she said it was really hard and she went through a lot. And then she prayed and prayed and prayed for a sibling when she was like 7 years old. And then she came home and her mom was pregnant with her brother. And she said her brother's a person and she feels like she's going through a lot through life and she's learned and grown and been to therapy, all that good stuff. Johnny, who looks like Andrew to me, is the one that shared that his, some of his fondest memories were him. He has an older sister, a younger brother, and younger sister, and all four of them would be in the bathroom getting ready for school. And the older sister would play like music on the laptop for them getting ready, and they would have the best time. Like, they would all be in the bathroom together, he said. And so they came from small, humble beginnings and all that. His birthday is like December 11th. And I guess he still got birthday presents and Christmas presents and all that. And then Amy also shared with us in another time they were into pods about how she's concerned about her little brother because I guess I believe she said he's on the spectrum, if I'm not mistaken. And her dad is the sole, provider for him right now. But what if, her dad can't take care of him anymore? Like, what would happen with him? She needs to be comfortable and knowing that her spouse will be okay with taking him in if that's what she needed to do, because she would be his next person to be the guardian of him, right? And so Johnny seemed to be fine with that, and he totally understood it, and he was good with it. Johnny and Amy really connected quickly, and then I think the third or fourth time we saw them in the pod together, like they didn't have a bunch of pod dates like Chelsea did. I was exhausted with all Chelsea's pod dates. I mean, I literally like when we were getting down to like episode 3 and 4 and 5, I was like, "Can we wrap this up and get to the honeymoon?" Like I was tired of watching Chelsea debate on Trevor and Jimmy for her to go on and make the wrong choice. Okay, but anyway, we're gonna get to that in the next review. So Johnny gonna propose to Amy with no care in the world. He had on that wrinkly gray t-shirt he threw on. I was like, where your suit at, sir? But anyway, he proposed to her. They ran across down the aisle, met each other. He you could tell he knew he gotta come up with Amy. He's like, oh my god, you're so beautiful. You're so beautiful. And he's just kissing all over her. She had to scoot over. But he really likes her. Okay. I can see them working out. I hope they do. She says she typically goes for ethnic men. She typically would not go for a blonde white man, but she's growing an attraction to her husband. She said. I mean, she act like she like her. She faking the funk good if she's faking it. So that's the only couple I believe we saw episodes 1 through 3 with the actual proposal and then meeting. Okay, so then we also had Brittany and Kenneth. Now, Kenneth is like 25. Brittany is like 25 or 26. Brittany used to be a teacher. I don't know if she does now. Kenneth is a principal. And I was like, how's Kenneth a principal at 25? I'm like, because most time you got to go to school, get your bachelor's and whatever, get your credential. I mean, he is in a different state. I think they're in North Carolina. I could be wrong. Let me know what state they're in, y'all, if I'm wrong. But maybe it's a different process. I'm like, how the heck are you gonna be principal already at 25? Like, y'all, I'm barely trying to get my admin credential, and I've been teaching 7 years. But I mean, I changed careers late, but still, like, that's very, very young to be a principal. So kudos to you, Kenneth. Like, shout out to you. Kenneth seems to have a good head on his shoulders. I hope he finds, I hope love works for him with Brittany. Um, he did let us know that he's pretty sure Brittany a white lady, and this will be the first Caucasian lady that he has been with. He's typically only been with black women. He was talking about it with somebody in the pods, and they were asking like, would your family be okay with that? And he was like, yeah, they would be fine. So that's good. I mean, if it's love, it's love. I would prefer to see black love, but love is love, as y'all like to say. But no, I hopefully they do work out, y'all. Anyway, he shared with her that he's a worship leader. And their second day, he had got a salad for her, and okay. Now let me go back. Let me go back to the first date. Then we're gonna go back to the second date. So the first date, he was saying that he doesn't worry about the frivolous things of life that people typically do, because like life has taught him, he kind of grew up faster, so he worries about more serious things in life, and that's just how he is, and he feels like he shouldn't have to explain how he is to people. And Brittany, was similar in that as well. So he said he was 12 years old. He lost his mom to cancer. And, leading up to that point, he felt like he had everything in the world, everything he asked for. And after that, he didn't have anything at all. My heart just broke for him when he told that story. He said he wrote his mom's obituary. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh my God. Like, that was just so heartbreaking. And Brittany said her father passed away when she was a child, and he had an alcoholic problem. And his heart or liver, whatever, his liver, I believe, could not take it. And so she lost him at a young age. And then her mom, or she asked, would he want to have twins? And so he said his mom was a twin. His mom and his aunt are twins. His biological mom and his aunt were twins. And so she said her mom was a twin also. And her mom's twin passed away when they were both 29 years old. The aunt was in a car accident and got ejected from the car, and the car ran over her. That was sad too, crazy. And so her mom had always wanted to have a kid and had a bunch of miscarriages. And then on her and her twin's birthday, she got pregnant with Brittany. Was that her name? Yeah, Brittany. And so the mom said Brittany looks just like the twin, acts just like the twin. So now the mom has never, had to spend a birthday alone. And so Kenneth is like, that just shows the power of God and how God is bringing us together here and all this stuff. So they, they really connected over God. Kenneth said when he heard that she loves the Lord, he said he wanted to get to know her a lot more. Okay. And so, that's my bedtime alarm, but I don't need it because it's a 3-day weekend. Anywho, So then I believe in their next date, they talked about ethnicity. So she asked, what ethnicity is your family? He said African American. And then she was like, okay, that's what she thought. And my thing is, if we're doing Love is Blind, isn't asking his ethnicity trying to figure out what he looked like? Isn't that similar to what Clay was doing? Like, no, I didn't like that. And then when he was trying to ask her about her hair color and kind of what she looked like, she didn't want to answer no questions. I didn't like that. Anyway, then this is when he shared that he was a worship leader, and she says she could be an alpha female and people don't understand her how she is, but she do want a man to lead the household, and she been waiting for the moment where she could tell the kids to go ask their father and all that stuff. So they hit it off, they connecting. Okay, we didn't see them do their proposal yet, though. I think we're going to see that in 4, 5, and 6, I believe. All right, so then let me see. Okay, right now we have this weird love star, as Trevor said, between Trevor, Chelsea, Johnny, and Trevor, Chelsea, Johnny, and Jessica, right? And I think after Matthew left, we did see one more conversation with Clay and AD, okay, and then I think the next conversation is going to be when he proposes. And they wasn't talking about nothing, okay? They wasn't talking about nothing. He did apologize for asking her what she looked like and for getting mad and yelling at her and all that. And she's like, I'm gonna ride with you, I'm gonna be with you, I ain't gonna never hang up and not call you back, I'm not gonna leave you, I'm gonna be with you forever. They was doing all that. They were giving very much like love and hip hop mark. They doing the most. So anyway, I'm like, y'all need to stop. So, like I said, Trevor likes Chelsea. And when we end episode 3, Trevor told Chelsea he loves her. Okay. Chelsea was saying she could picture him sitting on the floor, this big guy. And she was like, I don't know why I feel like you got a mullet. And he was like, actually, I do. She's like, oh my gosh, I love mullets. I can't believe it. She's also really hitting it off with Jimmy. And she just feels so connected with Jimmy. She just feels, all these things about Jimmy. And I feel like Jimmy gives absolutely nothing. So I don't know what the ladies are seeing. Now, Jessica also likes Jimmy, right? And I believe it was the second or third date, Jessica told Jimmy, about, because Jimmy was saying, like, he wants people to like him for him. And he grew up with a little bit less than like his friends and stuff. And his family is real cool, but he didn't want to get judged about his family. And she was like, no, I like you for what you've been through. Like, you all good. You're a good person. Like, you shouldn't have to worry about that. And she was like, I have something to tell you that I've been needing to tell you, but I don't know how to say it. He's like, sounds like a secret to me. And she's like, well, secret has a negative connotation to me, and this is not something negative. So then she told him about Autumn. And so he kind of was like taken aback. And I was like, okay, a lot of people have kids. I mean, she's 28. They're in their late 20s, so I get it. Like, they were like in their 30s like me, it'd be more expected. But 28 with a 10-year-old, I mean, it happens these days, right? And that's not so bad or extreme. So he was like, okay, so like, were you married or whatever? So she kind of told the backstory. She met Autumn's father in elementary school. They were living life together. She got pregnant in high school, her senior year. They stayed together. I don't think I can't remember if she said they got married or didn't get married, but she said he's a good father, but it just didn't work out. Good co-parenting, but it didn't work out. And so he was just like, okay, that's a lot to think about, a lot to, take in. But he's okay with it. Seems like he said right there in the moment he's okay with Autumn, but it wasn't really like, I don't know, are you fully okay with Autumn? And so then it was a lot, but he handled it better than he handled Chelsea saying she got a divorce. So then the next day he had to talk with Chelsea, and Chelsea said, hey, I've been married before. And so then he was really taken aback, and then he was like, you know what? I already got a bunch of news today. You're the second person to dump some news on me, and I just need some time to think about it. So Chelsea is crying, and he's like, I don't want to lead nobody on because I'll be falling quick. And I feel like Jimmy be running game too. Jimmy can go. Jimmy got a bunch of red flags, okay? Jimmy want everybody to open up to him, but he don't really want to be open. And then when you open up to him, he don't want to talk about it. Like, no, Jimmy, you can go as well. So when Chelsea got to her news, which was not as devastating as to me is having a kid. Not that a kid is devastating, but Jimmy couldn't take no more news. He was tired. Okay. But he did apologize to her the next date and say, like, hey, your news is actually the least devastating of the two. I had just had a lot. I had to process, I had to think about it, do all this stuff. Um, and Jimmy is saying he can really see his life with Chelsea and all this stuff. And then, Autumn, she's missing her daughter. Her daughter really, is excited for her to be in the process. So he's like, okay, tell me about your daughter. And she says she's just so cool. The way Jessica spoke about her daughter, saying she's cool and all that, and the type of girl she was, I just loved it. Like, that warmed my heart. She was just like, she's the best, all the best things in me and more. Like, she's quick on her feet. She's all like, the way she spoke to her daughter, that was just wonderful. Jessica also shared with us, well, she was asking Jimmy about his upbringing, like how many siblings he had. He said he had 5. She's like, okay, so you're one of 6. And he was like, well, yeah, actually, my oldest sister is adopted. And then Jessica's like, oh my God, adopted? No way. So then he was like, yeah. So basically, Jimmy's mom and dad were previously both married, and both of their spouses passed away. And his mom was a stepmom, I guess, in that previous marriage. And she took, I guess, because the dad of that kid passed away, she took the kid in. Now I don't know where the mama was. That's what I was wondering, but maybe the mom had passed too. I don't know. But anyway, Jimmy's mom took that kid in, so that's his sister as well. And then she was telling Jimmy about how, growing up, both her parents had her. They both struggled with some drug addiction. So she ended up going into foster care. And then her dad got incarcerated. He got out. She lived with him. Then he committed suicide, unfortunately. Then she was back in foster care. She said it was some dark times with him as well. I can't imagine what Jessica has gone through. I can't imagine. I like Jessica, y'all. Do y'all like Jessica? I like her. So then she's in the foster care system. She got pregnant with Autumn. I think she said like 16 or 17. And she considers her foster parents like her foster mom is like her mom, like her angel, her everything. She was like, because if she said that she couldn't have kept her daughter Autumn if it wasn't for the fact that her mom adopted her. So she was able to have her daughter. And I was like, oh, wow. And so that's why she really liked Jimmy's mom and said Jimmy's mom had a special place in her heart, because Jimmy's mom basically did the same thing her mom did. So that was a really cool story, I thought. Okay, so Jessica is very straightforward. She's like, I'm gonna tell it like it is. And Jimmy's like, yeah, I need that. I really need that. I was like, Jimmy, stop. Jessica let Jimmy know, like, what's your social media looking like? And he was like, I'm gonna be, following college, high school friends, and comedians here and there. That's it. And then he was like, yeah, because she was like, yeah, because if you're gonna be liking all the Instagram models and doing all that, like, nope, you either gonna like me or you gonna have nobody at all, but you gonna only have eyes for me. Like, that's how I am. That's what we doing over here. I was like, okay, girl. Okay. And basically, based on how Jessica looked, you don't need to be looking at nobody else. Did y'all see that picture she put on Twitter of herself? You don't need to be looking at nobody else, Jimmy, but you could have made the wrong decision anyway, so it don't matter. Oh, we could talk about, what's his name? Jeremy. Actually, I like Jeremy. So Jeremy been talking to Sarah and Laura. And he's gonna have a date with Laura. He went there talking about Sarah. And then she's like, you what? And he's like, Laura. I'm like, stop playing, Jeremy. So they both connected on the fact that they don't have nothing to do in the holidays. They don't like Christmas and Thanksgiving anymore, but they're gonna make their own traditions. Jeremy said, his father passed away, and now they don't have the traditions like they used to. His grandma's Italian. She used to be making the cutlets and the roast beef. It was sounding good, but they don't do that stuff anymore. And he was like, why we don't do that, Grandma? And she was like, you need to start your own tradition. So he wants to do that with Laura. And they want to put the powdered sugar out and put the boot steps to make the kids think Santa came. I said, y'all doing a lot. My parents used to just eat the milk and cookies. Okay, y'all doing a lot for them kids. Anyway, so they connected on that. And so then he was talking about how he got a CPAP. I was like, really, Jeremy, already? He got sleep apnea, y'all. He be dying. When you had that, you stop breathing in your sleep and stuff. So he said you got to wear the tubing, but he didn't bring it to the show. So I hope he's sleeping okay. So anyway, he said he liked to wear Hawaiian shirts, or I forgot the other shirts he likes to wear. Basically, something that's not a crew neck, so something that has more space internet because he said he got a thick neck. So she was making fun of him for that. So Laura is really liking Jeremy, but then she's like, I don't know, because I could tell he really likes Sarah Ann. So with Sarah Ann, he was talking with her and she was saying her eyes look droopy. And she was, I think my Botox is slipping. I was like, not the Botox slipping, girl. So then she said she got fillers in the lips and she got her Botox, and he was joking like he had some and he didn't. And so she said the reason why she has all that is because she likes to take pictures. And then he's like, let me ask, because he's like, he's like, oh, I can see what type of girl Sarah Ann is. And so he was like, let me ask you a question. How many social media followers you got? And she said she got 4,000 people on Instagram. And then he's like, I'm gonna ask you another question. Are you on one of them accounts? And she's like OnlyFans? And she's like, yes, but she was just joking. And then on another date, I don't know if it was that same date, we saw like a couple dates with him, but on one of their dates, he did share about his father passing away. Because some reason they were on the topic of parents, and they were first talking about political stuff. That's how they got there, y'all. They were talking about political stuff, and she said she does consider herself more conservative, very much a patriot, she said. I was like, ooh, we already know who she voted for, y'all. And I'm not surprised. And so I don't think Jeremy is that type. And I think that's one of the reasons why he kind of went towards Laura versus her, but we'll see that in the next review. So anyway, and she said, but she does have a lot of friends that are on the left, and she'll talk with them, but she likes to talk with people who have similar views with her as her, like, and debate about different political topics. She's like, for example, like, and she doesn't think, all these conversations should just be out there. She talked about abortion. She said, she don't think people should just be going out there getting abortions, but she's like, if you lay down with somebody, you need to take responsibility for your actions. She's like, however, like, if it was a RAPE situation or assault or something, like, she understands that or medical reason, and it would require an abortion. We not gonna debate that over here at this channel. Anywho, so then he was like, he feels like as a man, he don't have the right to tell a woman what to do with their body. Okay. And then he said, people need to be able to do what they want to do, love who they want to love. It's fine. And so then she was like, would your parents, totally be, are they good with you being on this show? And would they want to meet me? How would that go? And so he was like, well, my father passed away, but my mom, she would totally be into it. And he was saying he goes to see his father's grave like once a year or so, every so now and then. He goes out there and sits down and just kind of enjoys the stillness. He talks to him. He might have like a sip of wine or something, or a beer. And it sounded really peaceful the way he described it. Like, I wouldn't want to go sit at nobody's graveside. I've never done that. But I've never went to visit like someone who passed away's gravesite. My family, we just don't do that. But everybody does it differently. But I don't know, the way he made it sound, I was like, you know what? If that's what works for him, that is actually sounded cool. Like, that's what he wants to do. Like, that's how he can still connect to his dad. That was actually, I like the way he described it. Anyway, Laura's not sure in the pods because she's like, I know, me and him playing the Christmas together, but he over there talking to Sarah Ann, so she don't really know how it's about to go down. Okay. Also, a funny thing we did see was Laura talking about how last summer she was getting her men in the bar. So first she said she used to have her technique where she would drop something and then like kind of accidentally bump into them. But then, if they would be married or have a girlfriend, and she wasn't good for checking for rings, so that didn't work out. I was like, girl, me neither. And I used to use that technique too. I used to bump into people in the club on purpose and be like, oh my God, sorry, hi. That worked sometime. And then she said she would do a stare. She would stare at them real good. She said, you got to really stare into them and make them uncomfortable. And she said, they look at you and turn away, then you in there. She said, but then she would be drinking too much and staring, and people would be like, girl, you going to get arrested. She was looking crazy. So the girls thought that was funny. I believe we end, like I told y'all how we ended, episode 3. So we go next review. We're going to talk about episodes 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to end there. I think we talked about all the main issues. Ladies, watch out for the Matthews of the world. Okay, now stay tuned. Like I said, we're going to talk about episode 4, 5, and 6 on the next review. But this is the Brandy Yvonne channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will talk to y'all again soon. Bye.